I'd like to show you how to work with component visibility, and to do that I've made a change to the account object and added a custom field, a checkbox field labeled Show City. And then, having added it to the page layout, I have the ability to set the value to true or false. So here I'll set the value for the American Bank account to Show City, which is now true. And we'll go back to the flow environment and set up a flow to demonstrate the effectiveness of visibility controls. So we'll click the New Flow button and we'll use a screen flow. This gives us a number of different elements that we can work with, such as the screen element. Since the field that we're using as the source of the value to decide whether or not to show a city, we're going to use the Get Records element. So we'll add that to our palette, and we'll name this one just that, Get Records. Allow it to set the API name, and we'll indicate that we're looking for records based on the account object. Now, we need to make sure that we actually select a record. So we're going to choose to select only one record using this Get Record element. And we're going to break it down. We're going to actually get each of the fields, associate them with a variable. The variable will be used in the context of our flow. So we're going to take data from the record and store it in a variable within the flow. And rather than store these as a single field, so to speak, we're going to store them in separate variables. That adds to the effort that we're going to expend, but I believe it will make things a little clearer. First thing we want to do, though, is indicate which record. So we're going to add a condition by saying that the ID field of the account record is going to be equal to a variable, and we're going to name that record ID. And the data type for record IDs is text. In order for this value that's stored in a record to be input into our flow when I debug it, I'm going to check the box available for input. Now what I'd like to do is actually begin storing a couple of additional values from fields in the account record. The first of these is going to be the account name field. And we're going to store this in a variable. Now, the only variable I have right now is the variable I called record ID. We're going to create a new resource, and the type of resource is going to be a variable. The name of this, which is arbitrary, is going to be var account name. So this gives me a name I can remember to use later when I want to work with this value in my flow. The data type we're working with again is text, and we're not going to make this one available for input. If I were going to create a record or use this value outside of this flow, I would check the box for available for output. We'll do neither. I'll choose done. I want two more fields. The next field I would like to have is the account state or a city or billing city. So we'll type in city and we'll choose billing city. This is the value we're going to conditionally show or hide. And we're going to create a new variable, and we'll name this one var city, and the data type again is string or text. Neither input nor output available. Choose done. One more field to add. This is going to be the show city checkbox field. So we'll click add field, we'll search for show city, and we'll choose that field. Notice it's a Boolean field. We're still going to store this in a variable. So we'll call this one var show hide city. The data type here is not text, it is Boolean. It is either true or false. And we'll click done. So now we've populated our very, very simple get records element. We'll click done. We'll go ahead and start connecting the dots, and we're going to proceed with the adding of a screen element. We'll label this screen element show account info. We're going to add 4 different display texts. I'm going to add them quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. That just saves me from going back and forth and scrolling up and down. We'll start at the top. The API name of my first display text is going to be label name. And then I'm just going to type, not insert resource, I'm going to type account name. And I could use my rich text capabilities. Now I'm going to click on the next display text. The API name for this one is going to be account name. And this time I'm going to insert a resource. We captured the name of the account earlier. We have a variable named var account name. So that's what we're going to show in the second of our display text. Let's go to our third display text right here, and we're going to give it the display name of label city. We'll insert a resource again. Actually, this is a label, so we'll just type into this input box city. And then last in our list of display text, we'll type in an API name here of account city. We'll insert a resource, and this will be the var city variable. And now we're going to proceed with 2, not just 1, configurations of component visibility. So we'll start with the city itself, then we're going to hide the label as well. So component visibility, we'll change it from always visible to when conditions are met. We're going to look for a particular variable, and this variable is our Boolean show hide city. When show hide city equals, and this is where we're going to use a global constant. When the checkbox has been selected in the record, it stores a true value. So we're saying that when it is checked, show the city. So we can click done here. We're going to follow the same process for the label. Change it from always visible. We'll look for our variable, which again is our var show hide city variable, equals, and again, if it equals true, we're going to show it. All right, so we can click done, and we need to connect our components, our elements, and we're going to save our flow and give it a name, and we'll call this one demo hide show city, and we'll save it. Now this is not yet an active flow, but we can still test it. In order to test it, we need a record ID because we've not yet deployed this flow such that it can pick up the record ID from an existing account. So I'm going to choose the tab in my front end and copy the record ID from the URL. And then I'm going to return to my flow builder, and I'm going to click debug. Now, right here is the input that I said was going to support input. That was the checkbox for allow input and allow output. We don't have any other fields that we can populate, and we'll click the run button. So the interview is started, and you'll see the evaluation successfully found the record. var show hide city is true, so we're showing American Bank, Charlotte. Let's click finish. We're going to run it again in just a moment, but we're going to modify the record for the American Bank. Let's deselect Show City and save the record, and then debug the flow a second time. I still have the record ID on my clipboard, so I'll paste it in and run. And you'll notice this time we only see the name of the account. We do not see the label or the value of the city. And you can see over here the evaluation, var show hide city is false, which is why we're not showing the value Charlotte nor the label for the city. So that's it. A little bit of a look at how the visibility setting for components is managed in a flow. Thanks for watching.